Welcome to the Consulting Leaders Podcast, where we talk about the business of consulting. Whether you're looking to grow your practice or learn from the stories of leaders in consulting, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Guillaume Jouvencel, ex-PwC and co-founder of GHA Marketing. Join me as I interview the best consultants in their niche. Let's get on with the show. John, welcome to Consulting Leaders. You started your career in marketing and hospitality before moving into financial recovery and now independent financial advice. So please tell us what inspired that shift and how do those early experiences shape the way you advise clients today?
Well, I've been an entrepreneur all my life. Through a significant time inside of business recovery and insolvency, helping businesses at maybe some of their hardest points of their existence, then moving into financial advice, you've got this combination of business recovery and insolvency and regulated financial services, and how the two services confuse into one really good solution. So it doesn't just cover individuals, it covers businesses as well.
Right. And so what made you do that shift of, going from all those different industries and to end up right now in independent financial advisory? Like what made you get into that?
Well, I've been in advisory for many years, but I've also had different types of businesses, so yes, we were in the event and catering business, both in England and overseas, and have experience in that type of marketing and what is required in different locations. But the consultancy, really, for me, what inspired me was, it was during the COVID lockdown, and I guess we were having time to think and reflect about who we were and where we were going and what we were doing, etc. And I looked at my skill set and thought about the person or the life that I would like to try and aim for in the future. And independent financial advisor for me was what I wanted. So I started the process at that point, which is slightly unusual because most people have been in the industry all their life, or a big part of it. And I've come into it from a different sector, and the types of things that we're working on now and the solutions that we can put together, which we are doing, are really quite fabulous.
So that all makes a lot of sense. I like the middle of the COVID career shift. I think a lot of people have taken the direction, right? Not specifically financial advisor, but kind of reposition their whole career with everything that happens. So now that you're working independently, right? Yeah. What specific problem, I'd like the audience and for me to understand, what specific problem are you focused on solving for clients, and why does it matter to you?
Well, I think that the very base level, it's estate planning, because unfortunately none of us are going to get out alive at the end of it, and we will all be at different periods in our life when you realize maybe your mortality and what it is that's going to give meaning to your life and value to what it is that you've accumulated during your accumulation years, how you want that to be. A brutal question, but it is a very good question that you would ask somebody, is that if you died yesterday, would your estate go in the direction that you would hope it would? Because a lot of the time it wouldn't, or people don't necessarily understand. So I don't think that there's a one size fits all solution, because people's values and personalities and characteristics can vary enormously from one spectrum to the other. But there is a fundamental denominator which generally is that as a person, no matter what position we are in life, if we've got things that we value, families that we love, families that we value, partners that we value, and we've made it our duty to provide for that joy in your life, then to ensure that it goes the right direction, if anything were to happen to either of them, then those things are very important, especially for well, I say especially for, I think that for me, the age group that I speak to mainly are really the over 45s. The under 45s, I haven't really got to particularly. It doesn't mean that the things that we do won't work for them, because they absolutely will. But there seems to be more of a demand for questions to be answered and information on various things for me at this stage of my career within that demographic.
So I like that transition, and I think it's a nice segue. So you're helping people with estate planning. I like the question. It puts quite a lot of pressure, right? If you were to die today or yesterday, like what would estate become? I like that triggering question. Who is it that you serve specifically? So you mentioned I focus on people aged 45 plus. Who are they? Who is it that you help with this financial advising?
Well, my goodness me, where do you start? From one spectrum to the other. So I've got a meeting tomorrow with two 81-year-olds. Two 81-year-olds. So they're a couple. They've got, for me, they've got quite a simplistic background. There's not really too much to actually solve, apart from just a couple of components that they've been struggling with for the last 22.5 years, and they haven't been able to solve. So hopefully tomorrow we're going to free them from some of the things that have been holding them back, and allow them to focus on what they want, and again, giving meaning to their lives and value to their money. Because unfortunately today, I can only speak for us in England because I'm not anywhere else right now, but for those people that have accumulated, let's say, substantial or significant estates through hard work and good generational planning, the odds are against them for being able to retain that. So there are methods, there are ways of planning that are very clever and lawful, and things that have been probably open to people all of this time, but they haven't really known where to look for it. So it's delivering those things at the time that they need them, when they need them. I can't hear you.
And that's the joys of the direct. Sometimes I'm muting myself and forget to unmute. Any specific social demographics that you're targeting? Is it more specifically entrepreneurs, because those end up building estates and wealth?
They are entrepreneurs. A lot of the people on my LinkedIn profile are all entrepreneurs, the majority of them. So entrepreneur, business owners, they're the ones that I speak to, because maybe they're the ones that for all of these years I've probably marketed towards. We started last year a networking group in Bournemouth called Entrepreneur 8, where we invited entrepreneurs to come along. They'd learn about the AI, and they'd learn about different things for their businesses, that would be so that they could walk out more empowered than when they walked in. So things with a good purpose behind them, delivering the solutions to people. And that word solution, that's exactly what it is. From the advisor's point of view, the most important thing is getting the right information in the first place from the client. They need to be truthful. We do have a questionnaire that really, the better it's completed, the better we can advise, because we've then got all of the components and nothing's shielded or hidden. So depending on how much concentration a person or a couple or a family want to put in to revolutionizing their future, if you like, will determine how far you really want to go. For some people's lives, it's quite simple. They just want to be with family, stay healthy, and live for as long as possible and enjoy the journey. For others, it can be significantly more complicated. Also for, I'd say, my client base has been, for these, it would be entrepreneur men that were in their 70s and potentially 80s that were still working. You know, so they haven't taken the retirement option, and again, for those, then it's very much a case of being able to come in and get everything out on the table and sort everything out as clearly as possible, so that they can be free of the things that they don't need anymore, the things that they don't need to do anymore, and they can focus on the time that how they want to spend their time.
Okay, so I think we are super clear on who you're helping. How do you get those people to know you? And I'm not talking yet about, you know, getting them to go from total strangers to being your clients, Sean. But I'm more interested into understanding, how do you market to this very niche audience, right? That is probably not even problem aware, right? And that's always the challenge with consultants. It's like, we know they have a problem, but we might not know how to make them realize they have a problem. So how do you do that?
Well, if you're starting up with this type of thing, then it's really going to be through recommendations and what advertising that you put out there. With regards to marketing, it's very much a consistent thing. It's getting reviews, it's getting referrals, doing a good job time and time again, and building up you know, trust within with your clients. Because if you do a good job with people and they trust you, then they will of course recommend others when they're in conversations with friends or family and things like that. As far as the bigger picture is concerned, well, we'll have to see. You know, we're working on some projects at the moment which in the new year will have quite a lot of exposure. And you know, and all I can say on that is we'll just have to see what happens with that. But it's all moving very nicely to try and we're putting something together. We've put some software together for estate planning and independent financial advisors to make the connection between the client much better and the journey much better than it is. And it's looking very, very good at the moment. I'm testing it currently, and before it gets shared with any others, but just even going on it and seeing its capabilities is really marvelous for anyone that is serious about having everything in one place, knowing where they're at and seeing what their options are. And you know, and maybe it's hard sometimes to face the truth, but that is essentially what you're doing. You are facing the truth and the reality of your circumstances, and you are mapping out what you can do for the best for the future.
Yeah. So I love that you're so deep into the product, right? And how you can help your actual clients. What I'm a bit curious to understand is, how do you make people aware of that? Like, this still doesn't tell me how you market to those people. So word of mouth, referral, for sure. That's number one, right? And for me, that's a first good indicator that you have a good service and good product, because people talk about it positively if it brings you business. And then once they get in, they get access to you and they get access to potentially the software.
Yeah, well, I'm a little bit older than you guys, and I've seen it and experienced the digital age where, you know, there were periods up until around probably 2011 where we dominated Google with different keyword searches. You didn't really have to pay anything for marketing, or you just needed to have, you either needed to be good at it yourself or have somebody in the office that was just doing those things, and leads were generated. The game has changed a lot since then. It's changed a lot since then. To have the presence that you need really does generally require a lot of manpower or a lot of budget, which the reality is that even if you put that budget to it, are you going to get the results that you want to get at the end of it? I know that there are organizations out there that spend significant amounts, and I mean, you know, anything between, you know, 10 and £100,000 a month on social media marketing, for example.
Yeah.
But how much of that really gets monetized and how much of it is wasted? You know, because it is. So how do we do it? I would say having a consistent presence. We do it through networking events, you know, that either we hold or we join. I'm located in Westbourne in Bournemouth, so my local area. I also work in Mayfair in the centre of London, once or twice a week. So I've started to establish my LinkedIn profile, for example, in Mayfair. I think I've raised about 600 or 700 business owners within a 1 mile radius of my location in Mayfair that are now my connections on LinkedIn. And they all are very excited about the next event. So, and we haven't done one yet, but I'm just thinking about location on where we're going to do it. And soon enough, we will do one and we will get it together. And I've no doubt it will be a positive event. And one where you can galvanize relationships with people, because this type of thing, it features on life events. And no one is going to escape life events. They are going to happen, and having a go-to place where where it's understood the position that you're in, and equipping you with the tools that you need to, either read and digest or start to get familiar with, is a very important thing. So it's going to be step by step, and possibly through other intermediaries, that might be that might be utilized. That is something that is on the cards.
Yeah. Okay. So I like this a lot. I think so. Things have changed. The rules of the games have changed. I agree with you. Probably because the barrier to entry to the industry, right, in consulting in general, have never been lower. Anybody can start up a business online right now. Anybody can claim anything on internet, actually. People are getting used to ramping up some ads on Meta, ramping up some ads on Google, optimizing for SEO, boosting a LinkedIn profile. What I like about what you're telling me, Sean, is that you are actually marrying, dare I say, the old way, which is physical in-person networking, which is still growing like crazy because people at the end of the day crave this human connection. But you're actually combining it with your online presence on LinkedIn and making the best of both worlds. So that's a very smart move. And I think coaches and consultants have a lot to learn from that. So that's how you make people brand aware, right? And aware of what you do and who you are.
I've done a lot of posts over the last couple of years, and I would say that it's really about cultivating growth, really, as opposed to just trying to get it at whatever means possible and just wasting so much energy and resources in the process. There's too many examples in industry right now where they are just absolutely wasting resources, contaminating things, all just in pursuit of profits. So there isn't really any kind of like real meaning to that, because actually, if that energy was transferred into something completely different, the outcome would be completely different, and it wouldn't be what we've got now.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. And things take time. And I think that's something that a lot of people can't cope with nowadays. They just want to go faster. They just want the clients now. They want the results now. But things take time, especially in a day and age where we live in such a trust recession. So for you, Sean, maybe transitioning to the next question, which is, okay, I think it's very clear how you advertise and how you make yourself known, especially in your area, in your local area. How do you bring people to the finish line? How do you go from, hey, you're coming to our events, we're connected on LinkedIn, you probably see the stuff that I think that I do, to, turning into a client?
Well, without mentioning any names, for example, because of my profile, I guess, on maybe even Facebook and people that know me, I had a inquiry yesterday from somebody that I've known for the last 35 years. I haven't seen them for a long time. They're not based in the UK anymore. But he asked me a question with regards to a business, which, it was very easy for me to answer. So we had a call this morning. But of course, it was so much more than that question. So when you speak and you have a conversation with somebody, it's about asking the right questions so that you can get a very good profile snapshot of where that person is right now and what it is that's surrounding them and what we can potentially do to make a positive difference moving forward. So if in the conversation, which it was, and it did go like this, after 20 years, real big problems with their accountants, And for those people that rely on accountants and rely on professional people year on year on year on year, there are quite a lot of instances where it ends quite badly. But as a business owner, it's your responsibility to make sure that everything's filed on time and everything's done correctly. And if the person that you've engaged to do it doesn't do it, it's still your fault and your responsibility. So you need to find a solution for that. So very quickly into the conversation moved from that particular thing to their whole situation and how best that they could structure it. So at the end of the call, my client is empowered with the fact that they're going to get some information over to me for me to read and consist and go back to them. And also there is a requirement for a accountant, which we've got some really good chartered accountants on, that are associated to us. I really like their work. They have to pass a very strict acid test with me with regards to their performance and their attitude and how how quickly they come back and they respond to people and what their nature is. Because if it's not helpful and cooperative, and if it's not client centric, then they're not people that we can work with.
So I like that. That's being authentic. That's
so one more thing. So he was in before the conversation. He was lost.
Mm-hmm.
During the conversation, we established what we both needed to establish. And at the end of the conversation, he knows exactly what he needs to go to now and get in order that he can put himself back in control, and he can have a new accountant onboarded. And for his other physical structure, there's different company formations that you can utilize that would just help you as individuals, certainly with estate planning. When it comes to it, there's something called a family limited liability partnership, which is a very, very good tool, if you like, to hold your family assets and to work through because it can be used as a will and a trust combined. It's very, very effective, and it's something that he is going to look at as a very serious option for transitioning into.
So understanding the pain, offering clarity, and then giving some advice already that they can incorporate in their life to take the first steps, and then come back to you with potentially working with you together. So before that call happens, Sean, how do you get people from the events and from LinkedIn into that, let's call it sales conversation, right? Because it is a sales conversation. It's a consultation. You're helping people. What I'm interested in understanding is that how do you get people from, for the consultants listening to us and the advisors, how do you get people from, hey, okay, potential clients are coming to my events, to my networkings, are following me on LinkedIn. How do we get them from there into a sales conversation where you can provide this value that you clearly are providing?
Well, my plan, as I've said, is to hold an Entrepreneur 8 networking meeting at some point soon, so you'll have gone from not knowing who those people are, for them being connections with you on LinkedIn, having an invitation out for the event. Okay, I would probably estimate that 60%, maybe 70% of the people that say yes won't show up. They are the statistics, but that's what I'm likely to do. And at that point, then we get to have a conversation with each other and see how their skills could be valuable and how our skills can be valuable.
And that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So once you're with the clients, right? So you've invited them to their events, your events, you've built that trust, you've converted them into a clients. Back in my consulting days at PricewaterhouseCoopers, what my partner, who told me everything I know about consulting, told me is that there are two types of advisors: the hunters and the farmers. And he was like, I'm a hunter. I just love it. I just love to go after new business. But the real money, the advisors that do the best, are the farmers, the ones who are able, that once they get the clients, they actually keep them, nurture them, and get to work more with them for more engagement because they've built that trust. How do you make that distinction between hunting and farming, Sean? And how do you make sure that once you sign a client, you stay with them for years and years and years, especially as a financial advisor?
Right. Well, there will come a time in a person's life where you will be a hunter or you will have been a farmer. Doesn't really matter which order it is. I think if you're going to do it and it's going to be your career path, you need to be able to do everything. So therefore, there becomes a time where you're not just one thing. You're the combination of the two. You'll go out there and you'll do what you need to do. And you will also go out there and do what you need to do with regards to the farming because it's the farming of the information. You know, we want information in, we look at that information, we analyze that information, and then we can deliver information back. That's really simplifying it. That's all life is.
I like that. Where do you feel you're stuck right now, Sean? The reason I'm asking this is for the B2B coaches and consultants listening to us and the advisors. They might be facing the same situation as you are right now. And I think it's always interesting to, have a sneak peek in the mind of people facing a problem right now in their business and how they think about solving it. So where would you say you're stuck right now?
Well, I would say that for any person that has a business, you need to be equipped with certain tools. Okay, right. Just in case you get into difficulty,
sure.
You need to be able to complete a full 360. You need to be able to do everything. Therefore, there will be periods of time where you feel that there is a glass ceiling that you can't break through, but you do have to be persistent with that glass ceiling, and you do need to break through it somehow. You need to really look at what it is that you're doing and think, well, is this actually going to work? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Am I supporting others and I'm not supporting myself? There will be a lot of instances where people would be better off stopping what they're doing, rebooting, repivoting, and going off in a completely different direction as opposed to keep going. But that is people's choice. So does that answer your question?
So I think it does on a meta level. I think, as you say, any advisor, B2B coach, B2B consultants will face some glass ceiling at some points. Any glass ceiling that you're facing right now, and what tool do you think will be useful to break through that glass ceiling?
Faith and perseverance.
Okay, so that's the
faith
tool.
Faith and perseverance will allow you to break through that ceiling. And don't forget, when you challenge yourself differently every time you challenge yourself. There will be different obstacles to overcome. There will be different situations to encounter depending on what project you're on, at what stage you're at.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I'm going to say that I'm cruising on course. Okay, at the moment. Okay, right. I haven't got anything that is driving me crazy, and I think that we are equipped with the right team to be able to manage pretty much anything that came along.
Amazing. This is all one can wish for his consulting practice. What's the next big lever for growth for you, Sean? Like, where do you see the biggest opportunity for your business and you as an independent financial contractor in the next 6 months?
That's interesting. Okay, right. I don't really look at it like that. I don't look
at
it like that at all. Well, I don't look at it as being specific. Okay, right. For me, it's more of I know what I'm doing now, and my business enterprise consists of different sectors. And there's also areas of potential significant growth. So to answer your question that I wasn't really prepared for, is that I would have to say that in the new year, when we launch the Sumly product, then that is going to be a revolutionary breakthrough for firms and their advisors with the way that we've been able to simplify a lot of the complex actions that they have to take with their role.
I like that a lot. So big things coming. Sean, Thank you so much for coming on Consulting Leaders. If people want to find out more about you and what you do, where should they go?
Well, independent financial advice, they can go to peregrineandblack.com or Inheritance Made Simple, if it's just purely the estate planning. They're the two best places to connect with me.
Amazing. We'll put the links in the description. Sean, thank you so much for coming on Consulting Leaders.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Consulting Leaders podcast. We hope you learned valuable lessons on how to grow your practice and take your business to the next level. Make sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you're listening to this show so you never miss an episode. To apply and be a guest on the show, click the link in the description. See you next time.